occurred on February 9th. February 9th marked the one-year anniversary of the shooting death of 17-year-old Quanese Hayes. Following a presentation by activist Teresa Rayford, approximately 300 students, parents, and teachers marched from the campus to Portland Police Bureau's North Precinct, Jefferson High School, and Portland Community College Cascade campus. On Friday, March 23rd, the last day of school prior to spring break, Chris Reiser, a social studies teacher at Ockley Green, was placed on administrative leave. Again, the catalyst for our organizing and standing in front of you today is Chris Reiser and the administrative action that was taken against him as families prepared for vacation last week. That is not, however, the only reason we stand here. This walkout and the subsequent actions exemplify and illuminate a much larger crisis occurring at Ockley Green. We're going to talk about these issues, and we're going to end with our demands of the school and the school district.
There are rumors and conflicting stories about what happened on February 9th. In an era where fake news proliferates and where traditional media and social media challenges even the keenest critical thinker, we want to state clearly that the facts we're presenting are verifiable. When we state a fact, we have written or documented evidence, or we have eyewitnesses able to corroborate the information that we will make available upon request. And here are the facts. Fact: Chris Reiser was not the only teacher involved in the walkout. Fact: only 2 teachers were placed under investigation following the walkout. Fact: the 2 teachers placed under investigation are both men of color, Mr. Brian Chu from Boise Elliott Humboldt and Mr. Chris Reiser from Ockley Green. Fact: students walked 3 miles round trip and returned unharmed. Fact: accounts vary about who called for students to occupy the intersection of Ainsworth and MLK. Fact: students did not block an ambulance in the intersection. Fact: the administration's interviews for this investigation excluded narratives critical to the investigation. They excluded the narratives of students, members of the Black Student Union, teachers, and caregivers and parents who were involved in the walkout. Fact: 65% of the student body at Ockley Green are youth of color. Fact: a recent walkout on March 15th staged at Mount Tabor Middle School, a school where 62% of the student body are white, so that's the flip of what we have at Ockley Green. And there were 150 students in that walkout. They marched 8 miles and resulted in no disciplinary action, and in fact, it was framed as a learning opportunity. I asked you to consider why Black and brown students protesting is a safety issue, while white middle-class students doing the same thing are offered a learning opportunity. Yes. Our school community represents one of the most diverse spaces in the city, a city infamous for its whiteness. In an organization that claims to promote equity, we demand better treatment for our students and our teachers, especially those from marginalized backgrounds. On the 1-year anniversary of a Black youth's death during Black History Month, Mr. Reiser worked with students to present a lesson about activism, democracy, social justice, and youth voice. And for that, he was put on administrative leave. When our students are hearing from the Portland Public School District, Ockley Green administrators, and the public is that the only legitimate voices are white ones. That Black and brown students' voices do not matter, that Black and brown student lives do not matter, and that a Black male teacher's voice does not matter. In placing Mr. Reiser on administrative leave, our students also learn that the people that stand up for them and their peers will be punished. As a country, we are currently experiencing a moral crisis. We need strong leaders that represent a diversity of experiences. This is not the time to punish those who speak out against corruption and violence. We need schools to teach our kids reading, writing, and arithmetic. We also need our schools to provide education and guidance in democracy, civic engagement, anti-oppressive practices, and environmental, social, and educational justice.
The events of February 9th did not occur in a vacuum. They occurred in a context. Part of this context is the larger school community, which includes administration, students, teachers, and the Black Student Union, family and additional stakeholders. The context that is missing from almost every report or coverage of this walkout is that Ockley Green Middle School and Portland Public Schools is failing our students. PPS and Ockley Green Middle School is failing our teachers. PPS in Ockley Green Middle School is failing our community. Here are the facts. Fact. In 2017, the Portland Association of Teachers Union declared Ockley Green one of 4 PPS schools in crisis. Fact. Ockley Green is currently on her 4th principal in 3 years. Fact. Ockley Green students and families have tirelessly engaged with administration for years using all the traditional institutional channels. Fact. Ockley Green teachers report that communication with and from school administration is dysfunctional or absent. Fact. Decisions and policies at Ockley Green are made at will and ad hoc. There is no clear policy or guidelines on how to involve students, teacher, and community voices. There is no clear policy or guidelines for communication with students, teachers, and community on said decisions. Fact. Ockley Green students are being harmed every single day. Students are harming themselves and each other. Teachers are expected to manage an unmanageable situation and are not receiving any functional supports from the school administration or PPS. Ockley Green is a school in crisis. Stakeholders at every level talk about the chaos at the school. There is no proactive plan to change the culture of secrecy and reactivity.
We know that the system is broken. We will not allow our students to be collateral damage in the wreckage. We know that the only solution involves engagement at the district level, but PPS has repeatedly failed Ockley Green community. Here are the facts related to the district's role in creating the chaos at our school. Fact. Ockley Green has been struggling to meet the needs of our students for decades. Fact. For decades, the school community has begged for support and interventions from PPS. Fact. We have clear, verifiable evidence that Ockley Green has been and continues to be in crisis, that Ockley Green students have been and continue to be harmed by this crisis, and that PPS has continued to ignore this crisis and our school community. Fact. As a community, in the last several years, we have been promised support and critical interventions from the PPS Board of Education, the previous superintendents, and current senior leadership. Fact. Portland Public Schools completed a school-wide assessment on Ockley Green fall 2017 that clearly shows a community in crisis. Fact. At an Ockley Green Site Council meeting, Director Carl Logan had promised to fund a district position on communication to work specifically with our community. Fact. Today, PPS has continued to ignore all assessments, reports, and data that demand immediate interventions for Ockley Green Middle School. Here are our demands. Reinstate Chris Reiser immediately. There will be no further retaliation of teachers, students for the events of February 9th or the events occurring today. Restorative justice practices will be used to heal our school community, inclusive of staff, students, families, from the impacts of this event. Appropriate resources will be identified and allocated to Ockley Green Middle School immediately.
Yes!
Multi-tiered systems of support will be identified and operationalized specific to our student needs in our building and including best practices related to restorative justice, equity and anti-oppressive practices, culturally responsive behavior intervention supports, responsiveness to intervention, and trauma-informed care practices. Additionally, key performance indicators will be developed, measured, and reported to the entire community.
Yes!
Students, families, teachers, school administration, and PPS. And this communication will be inclusive, accessible, and translated for all families.
Yes!
We want to see the superintendent at our school. We want him to make it a regular, reliable practice to spend time in our hallways, classrooms, and with our students. Finally, we want dismissing and pathologizing of our students and our community to end today.
Yes!
We recognize our statements are based on diverse and multiple voices and perspectives. However, we want to be clear that this is not intended to imply we speak or represent everyone.
Reinstate Reiser! Reinstate! 'Cause we know, 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 riser! Reinstate riser! riser!